Okay, and we are live. So happy Wednesday. I hope wherever you're at, wherever you're doing, you're enjoying your week. We're about halfway through. Hopefully, it's going well for you. We finally made it to into February, so hopefully this month is still sees you on track for all the goals that you have been working towards. So, I hope that everything is working out for you. You're staying safe and taking care of yourself first and foremost. So, in this video, we want to talk about one thing that is so important to do to stay on track and create better manifestations in 2021. So, I don't know about you, but I have always been someone who historically has struggled with manifestation. I was one of the people who was immediately turned on by The Secret. I was absolutely lit up on fire about how to bring things into my life, and yet it seemed as though I would make some strides and then fall backwards, go a little bit forward, fall backwards, and this pattern would just repeat itself over and over and over again in my life. And one thing that really years later that kind of solidified things for me and kind of pulled things together again was when I discovered the power of our own minds and how this played into the whole formula. And one thing that I understood was initially when I started on this whole self-discovery path was I understood the power of our minds to create, the power of our minds to really create what we wanted, create the path, bring in things, and that sort of a thing. But one thing I failed to understand was that's the power of our same minds. That same power that can create so many different opportunities for us can actually also sabotage opportunities. It can actually destroy opportunities. It can burn all the good, amazing work that we did for ourselves. And this is bringing me to the one thing that is so important for you to really finally get that work done that you want to get done once and for all. So obviously we're coming from one doozy of a year, 2020, or not long after because you think about it, right about this time last year, things started to, at least as far as in my memory, things started to really starting to hear the coronavirus talk. It was starting to be amped up to become a thing. It wasn't quite there yet, but it was starting. And it was starting to creep into the front pages more and more. You're starting to see more and more cases. I'm thinking at like the beginning of February, there might have been the first reported case in the United States, something like that. But it really, life was still normal. And I still had plans. I still was going to 2020 was still going to be a great year. I was going to do this and this and this, go here and here and there and there. And it was going to be fine, right? It was going to be totally normal. And of course, by the end of this month, a year ago, absolutely devastation, like completely different. So undoubtedly your story is similar to that as well, where, this is your do-over from 2020. It's time to actually get back on track. So in order to be able to really ground into your manifestations and to bring about the change, especially if it's change that you've been struggling with over a period of time, it's all about the power of your mind. And the one thing that you must do is to control your thoughts. Your mind is incredibly, incredibly powerful, and it is a double-edged sword. It can absolutely open up doors, open up pathways, open up manifestations for you. But it can also destroy those same paths. It can also destroy those same manifestations. It can also sabotage you. I do read tarot, and the conscious mind is, to me, most associated with the suit of swords. So I tend to think of our mind as a sword, and that it is an incredible weapon that can absolutely open up a whole kingdom for you. It can absolutely create whole worlds. It can certainly be something that is very productive, that helps you to cut things, that helps you to be able to feed yourself, feed your life, feed your soul. But at the same time, it's also a weapon that can cause self-harm, that can cause you to actually bleed, unintentionally cut yourself. metaphorically speaking. So controlling your mind is of utmost importance. Controlling your thoughts is so important to bring about faster manifestations. Okay. So how does this play in with with us creating manifestations? What do you mean? What do I mean by controlling your mind? Okay. So one thing that is certainly underscored whenever we talk about manifestation, whenever we talk about creating change and working on ourselves, is the aggressive work, right? The actual physical action, the all the good, wonderful things that we do. Like, for example, let's say you want to, as we were talking about in the previous video, start a new career in 2021. You want to find work that's good for you. So you do the things that you need to do, and you're doing little things. You're doing that journaling exercise. Figure out work that's important for you. You are really, seeking, asking other people what you're good at, what your strengths are. You're really exploring, asking other people what you love to do. You're exploring maybe some of the old things you like to do. You're having fun again, just really filling out a path. That's all wonderful and great. And it's all going to move you towards what you want to do. However, our minds, especially when we are hit with challenge, often have ways to sabotage our progress. Our minds often, again, unless used correctly, they can, like a sword, turn on us, turn against us. And sometimes when we go through darker moments, we can actually begin to let our minds run rampant with self-doubt, with fear, with insecurity, with jealousy, with a lot of negative bile that just keeps coming back to us, that just is full of thoughts of, oh, why am I doing this? This isn't going to work out. Oh, see, I'm trying to make something of myself, but everything, it just sucks. Nothing is working out. I'm never going to get out of this job. I'm never going to do anything. Everything's going to come and always come at me over and over. And trust me, I totally understand that. I've been there. And one thing I also realize is that these horrible thoughts that we tend to say to ourselves are actually undoing all of the work that we have done before. So oftentimes too, if you are someone who experiences that pattern of forward, slide back, forward, but slide back to where you were, oftentimes it's our own thinking that's causing that to happen. Because what we think, right, as even was mentioned in The Secret, what we think has to come to fruition. What we think, our actions are what we see follows our thinking. So when you are thinking and focusing on the good work and you're moving towards it, that's wonderful and great. But when it doesn't happen as quickly in our time that we want it to, or if something should pop up that seems to get in our way, and seems is the key word. Sometimes our perception is not the truth. Sometimes it actually, in hindsight, is something that could be moving us forward, and we laugh about it. But in the heat of the moment, it appears to be something that is sabotaging us, getting in our way. Whenever that happens, we tend to often revoke back into darker thinking patterns, destructive thinking patterns. We turn the sword on ourselves. And whenever we do that, we are basically leaking out all of the good work that we did on ourselves. So what good is doing all this wonderful meditation if you're then going to leave and immediately start thinking dark thoughts that are going to sabotage all that wonderful work that you did? What good is working on, a self-discovery course, working towards your job, your new job, your ideal dream job that you want to cultivate, if right after that, you're then going to go to your job and just curse and be like, I'm not going to get out of here. This sucks. I'm going to be stuck here for the rest of my life. That's undoing all the previous good work that you did before. So the one thing you must do for better, faster manifestations in 2021 is to control your thoughts and keep them high frequency. It's so important for us to stay out of destructive thinking patterns, destructive loops that tend to bring us back low into the low frequency. Because again, whenever we have those thoughts, that is going to cause low frequency actions. And low frequency actions are going to cause low frequency results. So it's very important for us to nip in the bud the darkness when it comes up. Okay. So we are all human, and we're meant to be on this human journey, and we're not, I don't think, we're meant to always be like, at least most of us. Some people, hey, are totally, we're all different in different ways. But I feel like it's natural to have fluctuations in our emotions. It's natural to, be super, super high and be like, my God, life can't get any better than this one moment. And then there is time for sorrow. There is time for a recognition of some of the things that are going around us. However, especially when it comes in regard to something that you are trying to work on, that you're trying to manifest, a particular thing you're trying to manifest in your life, in that focused area, I think it is extremely beneficial to you to become aware of what your thinking patterns are in that area of your life. For example, let's return to the earlier example of trying to find a, more meaningful, happier, joy-filled work. What are your thinking patterns around that goal? Okay. Yes, you may be having high frequency thoughts some of the time when you're working on it, when you're, maybe you're enrolled in a course, or you're reading a book. And when you're doing these things, you're high and you're thinking, you're just full of hope for the future, and you can't wait to get things started. But then let's say you're kind of getting frustrated about, you thought you would be further along than you are. Let's say you applied for a position, you didn't get it. And this was a third position that you didn't get. And now you're going back to a job again. Maybe you have to work overtime at this job that you're trying to leave. What happens to your thinking at that point? That's to me is an important point to catch. This is a leak in your bowl of abundance, your bowl of manifestation. Is if at that point you start to spiral into darkness, into dark thinking patterns, that is where it's good to be aware of that, to know that, and to be able to bring it around and reverse it. Okay. So it all starts with awareness, just being aware of your thinking patterns around, especially your focused intention point, and to really, really pay attention to that and see where that's going. And once you're aware of it, see if you can turn this around and really concentrate on pulling yourself up and pulling yourself back to center, back to neutral, okay, and stop the spiral, the downward spiral, because that is just going to undo all of the wonderful work that you've done previously, okay? And if you want to go more into this, I actually have created an express hypnotic coaching practice that you can find at my website, which is www.newworldcoaching.org/express. Okay, it's www.newworldcoaching.org/express. And this program is called Inner Peace for Outer Success. And it is all about just ways for us to stop the spiral, stop the negativity, the ways for us to use our minds and to regain control and to create manifestations quicker, easier, and faster. Okay, you can check that information out. I have more information on the package itself. It includes a 60 to 90 minute in-depth coaching session where we talk more about this in an audio format. We'll talk about more about the importance of our mind. And also includes a PDF worksheet as well. We talk about different ways to dive deeper into this. And it also includes, to me, most important of all, a hypnotic recording. All right, that's a hypnotic recording that is, I think, about 30 minutes or so that you can use to retrain your thinking, to actually spiral less, to gain control of your power. Your level of thinking is your power. So it's very important to gain control of that, to, again, make sure you're bringing in change that you're working on faster. Okay, because you're undoing, again, you're going backwards. It's going to take longer if you keep letting that negativity come. Because trust me, I have my triggers like you know, where something happens and it's just downhill because it just tends to ruin your day, spin you into a dark spot, and next thing you know, it attracts more reasons to complain to you, and then you just can't get out of this horrible abyss and the spiral. And not only does it feel awful and terrible, but again, it's pushing us backwards, and it's not helping. So it's really important to stay in that high frequency level of mind. So that's what this session is all about. Okay, and again, it's inner peace for outer success is the name of it. You can find that on my website under the Express Coaching packages. Very affordable, and I definitely designed it as a toolkit for you to be able to absolutely get what you want and approach your manifestations in 2021 from the feminine side. And it's wonderful that you're doing all the masculine work, that you're making the strides, doing everything you need to do, but it's also important at the same time to make sure you're sealing in that work and not letting that work fall out and just go everywhere. Okay? All right, so I thank you for joining me for this video whenever you watch it, and I will see you sometime next week as well. And definitely reach out to me if you have any questions or anything. Of course, reach me, Keisha@newworldtarot.org, if you ever need to reach out to me. But we will meet again next week. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. And remember, in order to change your life, you must first change yourself. Be blessed and take care. Bye.